Should I go in as Francis?
Oh, oh God, that's so dumb.
1, 2, 3.
Just as a heads up, I don't think that we have our ability to turn our videos on. I don't know if we want to stay off video or have that enabled.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to work on that real quick.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
And I am here, but it says you cannot start your video because the host stopped it. So I can completely understand.
I think Nikki's trying to see if she can set it for folks to be able to turn their videos on.
Okay, I changed the settings. See if you're able to now.
I'm not. But
I'm
hi,
not.
Nikki. It's so good to see you in this new role. It's funny to hear your voice because I always think of you as like presenting a zoning issue. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's still telling me that I can't start because the host stopped it. I don't even know what that means.
Same.
Same as me. So, Jenny, we got the quorum now.
All right. Well,
Past the quorum, we're good.
I am certainly ready to go. I just don't want anybody.
That was not a hint that we should wait. I just wanted to let I did a count.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I see we have like 22 participants here. I'm going to make sure I have my list open. Yeah, welcome everybody. Thank you all so much for being here this afternoon. We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. This is ReThink Folly Road Steering Committee, and I am very pleased to be the chair now. I would like to, if we could, at least try to let everyone make an introduction, and I'm just going to call you in the list I have, since everybody's in a different order, because I know Nikki's a new face, and just tell everybody what sort of sector you represent. Again, I'm Jenny Honeycutt. I serve on Charleston County Council and represent District 9. And I'll go next to Nikki. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, this is Nikki Grimble. I am the new town administrator for James Island. You may recognize my name from being on the staff side of the county, but I am excited to be a part of this in a new capacity.
Well, it's so good to have you, Nikki, and welcome to the town. Ernie, I know that you're our consultant, but please introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Ernie Bauman, I'm with Tool Design Group, and we are the program management consultant for ReThink Folly Road.
And Mayor Woolsey?
So I'm Bill Woolsey, Mayor of the town of James Island, and now a member of the ReThink Folly Road Steering Committee.
Our fearless leader for so long, Jason Crowley.
Hey there, I'm Jason Crowley, Communities and Transportation Program Director for the Coastal Conservation League.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Jason. Adam Barker.
Sure. Oops,
There he
sorry
is.
about that, Jenny. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adam Barker, City Councilman on Folly Beach since 2020.
Great to have you, Adam. Thanks for being with us. The next on my list is Beth Saunders. So sorry, I'm calling everybody just randomly.
Hi, sorry, my camera's not working. My name's Beth. As you said, I was the planning commissioner for Folly for a few years. I have an industrial engineering background, and I am a citizen representative for Folly Beach.
Great. Well, thanks for being with us, Beth. We've got
Thank
Fred
you.
Whittle.
Yes, Fred Whittle, we represent businesses on Folly Road.
Great to have you, Fred. Joe Walters.
Hey, everybody. private citizen stakeholder for Folly Road businesses and general public.
Great. Thanks for being here. Katie Zimmerman.
Hey all, I'm Katie Zimmerman, Executive Director with Charleston Moves.
Thanks for being here, Katie. Kristen Kane.
Oh, I'm staff for James Island Planning, not on the committee, but still here.
Thanks for being here, Kristen. You've got to present, so you're in the group here. Lauren.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lauren Galatly. I'm the Director of Operations with Low Country Local First, and I'm also a resident of the town.
Great. So good to see you, Lauren. And we
You
have
too.
Spencer Wetmore. I thought Spencer was busy today, so welcome.
Hey, I'm Spencer Wetmore. I represent a lot of James Island, some of Johns Island, Folly, Kiowa, and Seabrook in the South Carolina State House. So I'm on the floor today, so I'll probably turn my camera off. Thanks, Jenny.
Great to see you. Well, thank you all for being here. Did I miss anyone? I think that was everyone on my list of panelist participants. Do we have a motion? Can we entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
I make
So
a motion.
moved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any additions or deletions in discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no nays, it passes. And moving on to our next item, I'm going to leave it with Ernie. Turn it over to you. And just to not be a distraction, I'm going to go ahead and mute my camera and my voice. Thanks.
All right, great. So next one, project update. I believe that Sheila's with us and the attendees. If we can get, let's see if we can promote her up. I think I just did that. All right, Sheila, are you able to provide a update on the phase 1 project?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ernie, for that introduction. Excuse me. Yes, I'm going to provide an update on the Folly multi-use path. We're creeping along. We have right-of-way acquisitions that are ongoing. We have been talking to businesses on Folly and tweaking our plans as we talk to the business owners to get their permissions. For example, we have a property owner that wants us to move the proposed sidewalk in front of a 62-inch grand tree instead of behind because it's encroaching on the property a little too much. So we're having to get an arborist involved and just to make sure that moving the sidewalk on top of the roots would not kill the tree. So things like that as we go down Folly and get permissions from property owners, we're hitting and tweaking the plans as we move along. As far as permitting goes, we got through the city's TRC process pretty smoothly. We're wrapping that up. And so we're really focusing on trying to satisfy the DOT's comments. The major thing that the DOT has asked of us now is to minimize our use of green pavement in the bike lanes. We did fight the DOT on that because this was an enhancement that we really were excited about. And this is why we agreed to have the municipalities maintain the green pavement. But we had countless meetings and emails between us and the DOT, but they're holding firm that they want the green paint uniform across the state. So we will be reducing those enhancements. As far as the utility coordinations go, that's going well. We've met with James Island Sewer, phone, telecom companies, and that's all going smoothly because we really don't have any major subsurface relocations. And so we're still hoping to advertise by the end of the year or first quarter 23. So that's where we're at. Anybody have any questions?
Lauren.
Thank you. Sheila, do you mind, and I apologize because I missed the last meeting with this committee, but Can you talk a little bit more about the green paint and what DOT is pushing back on and where that leaves us with what the committee sort of knows to be the approved design plan for this segment?
So I guess originally, the very beginning of this project, we wanted the entire length of the bike lanes to be painted green. And then we actually abandoned that idea because the cost was insane. It was adding, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to the cost of the project, which we found to be unfeasible. So we reduced that to smaller segments and then more green paint at intersections and drives. So anywhere we had a curb cut on Folly Road, we had the green paint there, just to point out, you know, to vehicles, you know, any potential conflicts that there may be as they're turning into, you know, for example, the Chick-fil-A or the Queensboro Plaza or the Zaxby's. So we had green paint at the drives, not just major road intersections, and that the DOT made us eliminate those. And so they're wanting us to stick to their standard drawing, which is only at intersections, and then it's 50 feet of green paint. And that's all they're allowing us to do is the bare minimum. Does that
Katie
answer your
Zimmerman?
question? Oh,
Yeah,
Katie.
so Katie has a question as well, probably.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm excited to hear what Katie has to say.
I don't know if I'm going to be that exciting. I'll try. I do think because green paint is new to South Carolina, I do think that it would be helpful to sort of see this in a design where they're allowing the green paint in a drawing that's sort of the full scope of phase one, so that we can kind of better understand what this looks like. Because I think I had mentioned to you, Sheila, that when DOT did the green paint on the Isle of Palms connector, they went out and they painted it, and then they went back out again and added more because they realized initially what they had done wasn't, they needed more blocks of green paint. They needed more markings because they were just too far apart the way they were spaced. So I'm kind of curious about sort of contextually, if I think it's worth continuing to kind of push DOT a little bit, because they're setting these standards, but it's new. So I feel like there are still some opportunities here to kind of help tweak their statewide standards that they've got, especially since they're supposed to be starting to consider NACTO guidance more. And the other part about it is, I think as DOT continues to tweak all of their policies and guidance, it's probably worth revisiting whenever possible, the state taking over the maintenance of this green paint. I know that they required the municipalities to take it on up front, but that's something that it's my understanding through the Complete Streets Council that will be negotiable in the future on a case-by-case basis. So I don't think in concept reducing the amount of green paint is necessarily bad, but I would like to kind of see it drawn out and then see DOT's response from there, so that they could kind of better understand how it all looks in one phase, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, Katie. And that was kind of our stance on it too. Yes, it's not the end of the world though that the green pavement's going to be reduced, but this is a new thing in the state, and we do want to help them you know, develop these standards that they're trying to develop. And that, you know, with the Complete Streets, they're claiming, yeah, we're going to, you know, use the text in NACTO to, you know, help us shape our standards. And NACTO does recommend that, you know, at high conflict drives that we do put the green paint. So, you know, we had these conversations with them, but they're holding firm that because it is new, that they want to have it uniform across the state. And that if we overuse this green paint at the beginning, that if it's there all the time in your face, people are going to ignore it. And I could see that. I think especially, as a new enhancement across the state, I could see where they're coming from there.
Yeah. And one other thing, I think I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I currently serve on the DOT's Complete Streets Council. So far we've only met twice, but stuff like this, as it comes up from the county and the municipalities, if there are issues or lessons learned or anything that you want to make sure gets brought up to the council, just let me know. I feel like there's county staff on the council as well and city staff, but I can't remember all of the representation. So don't hesitate to let me know what you want me to bring up at these council meetings, especially if we feel like, oh, this green paint merits more discussion statewide.
Thank you, Katie. Yeah, that's good to know. We haven't revised the plans to accommodate what they're asking yet, but once we do, maybe I'll shoot you a couple pages and see what you think.
Cool.
But yeah, we did fight them on this, and they do want uniformity. And sorry, people are walking by for the green paint, and they're holding firm on it. And they did say that we can always add the paint, but it'd be hard to remove it. And like you said, that is what they did on IOP. So
cool.
They were open to that.
Cool.
Thank you, Sheila, and thank you for the questions. Does anybody else have a question or comment about that? Awesome. Well, we appreciate
like Lauren's.
Oh, sorry.
I do.
Lauren.
I'm sorry. Just really quick to go back to Katie's quick point of, if we're doing what is now sort of the standard operating procedure across the state, is there an opportunity to shift these costs back to DOT rather than the municipalities paying for them and shift those funds elsewhere?
So we asked that too. Yeah, we asked that too. We said, if we have to adhere to your standards, then you maintain the green paint. And that's just something they're not willing to maintain right now. They said in the future they'll look at it, but right now they're not willing to maintain that.
Great. I can only see a handful of the videos. So if you don't mind using the little raise your hand button, I can see it on the side of my screen. I don't want to overlook anybody. Does anybody else have any comments before we move on from the phase 1 update? Well, thank you so much, Sheila. I really appreciate that. I think we're going to move on to the next item, which is the public outreach update. Is that going to be you, Ernie?
That would be me. And I think, I don't want to jinx it, but I think this is a relatively quick update. Just wanted to let the committee know that we are moving forward with the items that were voted at the last meeting, particularly the recognition plaques. We are putting together a list of the first round of those. We're working with staff to make sure that we're getting a good list of folks that have already implemented parts of the 12-foot multi-use path on their property, and or if they haven't implemented, or they've dedicated the right-of-way in those instances. And it is our intention to present those plaques at our next meeting in June. So that will be an exciting time to do that. Also wanted to update you on the one-on-one meetings that we will be offering to property and business owners. We have a flyer that we're putting together, and we've spoken with staff at all 4 jurisdictions as well as the COG. And staff is going to do some door-to-door handing out of the flyers to advertise that one-on-one meeting opportunity. And we also wanted to just extend the invitation to any committee members that might want to be involved with that door-to-door effort. That certainly more hands make light work. So if there are folks that would like to get out in the community and go to a few properties and shops and hand out these flyers and get to know folks a little better, we'd appreciate that too. But essentially that's the update. Just wanted you to know it is moving forward, and you'll be seeing more on that in the coming weeks.
Great. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? I don't see any hands raised. I'm trying to look at my view of everybody. Great. Well, thanks so much, Ernie. I appreciate that. It sounds like we're moving right along. So I look forward to seeing the plaques and all that at our next meeting. The next item is the enhanced multi-jurisdictional coordination. And I think Kristen and Jim Hemphill, we're going to chat about that.
I can kind of kick this conversation off and then Kristen and Jim can jump in. But we just wanted to reiterate and maybe garner a rededication to reissue the need and action for being sure that we work together, since along Folly Road obviously is made up of Charleston County, an unincorporated area, town of James Island, and the city of Charleston. The intent of the Folly Road corridor, which obviously falls along the same lines as the ReThink Folly Road area, is to be sure that uses are consistent and adjacent properties that may be city or county at one point or another, or town, that we all are in greater communication than we may be in some of the other areas across the county. So just wanted to kind of bring that back onto the floor. And I'm not sure if Kristen or Jim have anything else to add there, but.
Yeah, I can add a little bit. I think the question here was a concern over rezoning that happened on Folly Road in the city. And I think there's a difference that some folks might not know, that the county and the town of James Island will send notices out in the mail when there's a rezoning in the neighborhood to neighbors. The city doesn't do that. So I think there was some confusion from some of the neighbors that felt like, oh, we didn't receive our notice. And the reason the city doesn't do that is just because it's a staff capacity issue. And we've got 8 different boards in our department. So it's just, we have, it's just, we're just not able to do that. But so I wanted to, we can, publicly say that we can be better about, I can be better in the city about notifying my fellow staff in other jurisdictions about rezonings and things. I think already the committee, the staff on the committee are really great about sharing new projects that come online, sharing site plans and things like that, but maybe need to be a little bit more vigilant about some of the things that might be flying under the radar, like rezoning or annexation or something like that. So just wanted to come on and say that. And then I'd be also happy to share some resources that we have in the city for those in the town or in the county that are interested. We have we have a notification system with our agendas, so you can get on a list to receive our agendas every time they're posted for our planning commission, our technical review committee, or design review board. And we also have something called customer self-service portal, which actually any person can make an account and you're able to view plans online. So I think that's a really powerful resource for people who are really interested in what's going on along Folly Road. So, I mean, I'd be happy to share my screen and go into that if we want to go to that level of detail. If we want to, I put it out there, anyone can email me or call me, and I'd be happy to walk you through that process as well. I don't know what everyone wants to do.
Thanks, Jim. Kristen, did you have anything to add on that?
I appreciate that, Jim. If we could get on I actually am part of the notification for the agendas. The citizen portal thing is interesting. So if you could send us a link, that'd be great. The agenda part, though, is interesting because when I look back on the agendas for these specific rezonings, it did have the address, but it didn't mention that it was in the Folly Road overlay. So I guess the citizens would have had to, check all the agendas. But I was wondering maybe but pre-COVID, and maybe it was even before that, we used to have staff planners meeting together aside from Rethink Folly. And it was more of a overlay type discussion. That way we don't have to not waste Ernie's time, but, you know, get together on a staff level without just talking about what we're going to talk about at the Rethink meeting. And if y'all are open to that, that might help. So that way, I'm sure it happens to all of you, but residents come in here and they don't know whether they're in the city or they're in the county or whatnot. So it'd be nice to know these things so we can, you know, better help them, even if they're not in the town. But maybe like a short staff call or meeting, Zoom meeting every month or every couple of months would help, apart from Rethink Folly.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We'll be happy to do that with you all.
Well, thank y'all so much for bringing that. Bill, I'm going to give it to you as soon as I make, Jason is probably more familiar with this than I am, and Nikki. But we also, the county had a recent rezoning along the Folly corridor with the Beefield community. And I know that's come up in conversation because of issues with parking around the barrel. And so that also is going on. I think all of the jurisdictions need to be in those meetings, just so everybody kind of has an idea of what's going on throughout the entire corridor. Jason and Nikki, if y'all have anything to add about that, feel free. Mayor Woolsey.
So when I heard about the rezoning, I was very concerned. So this was two parcels in the South Village on the east side, and according to our jointly approved vision for Folly Road, that is supposed to be less intense development. And one of our key goals is to protect the residential neighborhood that is right behind Folly Road. And here the city, it's a mixed area that some of the parcels are on Folly Road or in the city and some are in the town. And here the city has rezoned these properties to allow intense uses that certainly would not be allowed in the town. At least the way we see the east side of Folly in the South Village is it should primarily be office residential. And the purpose of that is primarily to protect the neighbors behind. And then we have, people living next to the city and, at least maybe we don't understand, but the rezoning is now going to allow gas stations and other what would be the most intense possible uses in the town. Now, I realize in other parts of Charleston County, in the city of Charleston, all sorts of very intense uses, even way more intense uses are allowed. And maybe you all think gas stations aren't that intense compared to some of the stuff, but that's not the way we see it. And, here there was no, when we've been working on this and I bring this up at Rethink Folly Road. I think it's appropriate to bring this up because we're supposed to be working for, working together for redevelopment along Folly Road. Well, what kind of redevelopment? Are we supposed to be looking for more gas stations in the South Village? The city seems to be, rezoning in that along those lines. And so I think it's very concerning. And I just hope we communicate better and that I wish this, I'd hope that the city elected officials and the city staff would, consider our shared vision for the development of Folly Road.
Nikki, this has happened to me before. Would you mind trying to bring the individual identified as Caroline in the attendee list over? That may be Caroline Parker. I may be wrong. But I want to make sure that if it is Caroline Parker, that she has an opportunity to address the panel. Somebody has their hand raised. Jason, sorry.
I think this just builds on to what Mayor Woolsey was mentioning. I was actually thinking about this. I wasn't aware of the city's rezoning, but I was thinking about the recent town BZA consideration for the variances for Chick-fil-A and was wondering if and I brought this up before, if we can try to encourage applicants before they come before a board, whether it's BZA or ARB or Planning Commission, to present their proposals just to this committee, and not to say that we are necessarily going to sign off on it or make a recommendation or anything like that, because I don't think that we have those powers, but it gives a chance to have a forum before an official vote that could even serve as a workshop opportunity for the public to hear and see it, and for the ReThink folks to give some recommendations before it does get up to there, as just another check and balance.
Yeah, I don't know that the applicant process would necessarily include it coming to us beforehand, but certainly I think our staff, especially if they start routinely meeting, could bring those to us. I think that would be great. In fact, if we could maybe work on getting some more communication across staffs that that percolates all the way up to this group. Along those lines, is this Caroline? Is that Caroline Parker? I don't know if you can hear me or unmute.
Yes, it's me. I'm here.
Hey, Caroline. Sorry you got stuck in the attendee room there.
That's okay.
I just wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself. Caroline is our new city council member, and I'm sure she's wanting to be engaged in this process as well. So.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for having me. I believe this is I think I was the last one, maybe sometime late last year.
I think we had one earlier this year. Didn't we?
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I missed that one, but yes. So yes, I agree with what you just said. I mean, if in the future, I mean, what I can certainly do is if there is a zoning request, and I can ask my city staff, you know, if we have a zoning request in the Folly Road overlay, you know, we can definitely bring it to this meeting. You know what I mean? We can, I mean, obviously city residents don't have to be required to do that, but I can certainly bring it to this committee, you know, prior to.
Yeah. And I think the same for us. I don't know that the county ever brought the Beefield proposal. Nikki, maybe you know, but and it's not something we normally do, but because we are a body that the whole point is to try to collaborate on these things, it would make sense if we did, and just so that we're all working toward the same goals as Mayor Woolsey put out there.
Right.
Anybody
I agree.
else? Okay. Thanks again, Nikki, for kicking off that one, and Kristen and Jim for weighing in. The last one that we were going to talk about are some various jurisdictional updates. So I'm not sure who on staff wants to start. Nikki, are you going to start on that one, or?
I'll let Kristen do any if we have any others.
Okay.
I can speak to the Chick-fil-A since it was already mentioned. It went to our BZA in April, well, last week, I guess, and they are going to continue to the May meeting. They're going to adjust their site plan. They're trying to work around the tree without taking it down. They are trying to enhance their site to better the traffic that spills out onto Folly Road by creating a permanent double drive-through. So that'll go forward in May, a continuance of the April meeting. And the Trident freestanding ER will do a groundbreaking ceremony next week. So they'll be getting started with building soon. I believe that's it.
Anybody else? I know
Yeah.
the count. Oh, go ahead. Who is that?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. This is Jim Hemphill with the city of Charleston. Hey, yeah. So I've got a couple of updates for everyone. Just recent things that have come through our TRC. So I'm not sure if someone from the county wants to comment on this one, but we did review an application from the county for a new 8-foot and 5-foot sidewalk near Folly Road and Country Club Drive. So I think it's part of that PRC owned parcel there. And then also some pedestrian improvements for the intersection there. We have, this is not along Folly Road, but set back just a little bit from Folly Road is the Cross Creek townhomes. It's 51 townhomes on Cross Creek Drive. So it's pretty much directly behind that Roper building that is there on along Folly Road. So not in the overlay, but set back a little bit. I've got one on 1471 Folly Road that is going to be before our TRC on May 5th. So this is the first submittal for our TRC. And that is a new warehouse and office building at 1471 Folly. It's pretty close to the Signal Point intersection there. I've got, let's see, and then we have two submittals along Grimble Road extension. One is a formal submittal, one is only a site plan review, a pre-application review. And these are, one is for 68 lots for mixed use and townhomes along parcels that front both Folly and Grimble Road extended. And that's at 1588 Grimble Road extension. It doesn't, so the townhome development doesn't actually create a road that cuts through to Folly, but it will have those multi-use, the multi-use path included. So the townhomes don't actually front on Folly, but it's part of that property. And then we also have one at 1555 Grimble Road extension. And that's 64 single family homes. And that is at the very preliminary pre-application review. This would be an annexation, possible annexation, and a planned, they would probably come in as a planned unit development. And so this is, we don't know if this one's going to go forward, but I just wanted to put it on everyone's radar. This one will actually include a road that cuts from Grimble Road extension to Folly Road. So those are all of our updates that we've had since our last meeting.
Any questions? Let's see any hands.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So since we're on those couple of items, and I don't know if this is the proper place to bring them up, but have we looked at any traffic studies or needs for traffic lights at some of those intersections where some of these now, these bigger density, again, more residential homes are going in?
That would be part of the TRC review. So they,
okay.
Yeah, they'd be required to submit traffic studies and have review from our traffic and transportation folks. So, yeah.
So, and again, y'all know I'm new to this. So is that something that you'll bring to this committee, seeing that it has the multiple, we have obviously a lot of that is county, things like that, or do we bring that up separately at a separate meeting?
What we typically do here is I will update the committee on new projects that have come online, just so that we're all on the same page. But happy to provide any extra information. And like I said, that citizen services portal will actually allow you to review our TRC comments and the plans themselves. So if we do want to get in the weeds on any of these larger projects, I'm happy to comment on them before the board. Typically, it's just kind of a high-level review of what's going on.
Okay, thanks.
Katie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask generally, I listen to a lot of the committee and board meetings when they're reviewing these projects. And I've noticed a trend of members on these committees and boards who don't understand the fundamental difference and importance of multi-use paths versus sidewalks and how those things all fit in within the ReThink Folly Road vision. One particular meeting I listened in on a week or so ago, a board member kept saying, well, why can't we just narrow it down to a 5 or 6 foot multi-use path, which that's not a multi-use path, that's a sidewalk. You wouldn't want bicycles on that. So there seems to be a fundamental misunderstanding. And I don't know the best way to help educate those folks, but maybe it's part of the previous discussion about jurisdictional coordination or something where when these projects are going before these boards, if there could be an explanation of what a multi-use path serves, what a sidewalk serves, and why the different widths are important and what they do, I think that might be helpful for folks who aren't thinking about this stuff every day, so they just don't know and they're just throwing out terms. that they don't understand. I think it would also kind of help some of the discussions, particularly around, you know, zoning appeals and other things like that. So I just wanted to kind of toss that out there. I've been thinking about it for the past couple of months, and I don't know the best way to do that, but wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, well, thank you, Katie. Your organization has informed a lot of what I know about multi-use paths and sidewalks. So thank you for always being there to help clarify. But I definitely think we can do our part when discussing it to make sure that we are articulating those distinctions correctly. I know Riverland Drive is an example. In areas when you come into conflict with trees or utilities, we're having the same problems on Woodland Shores and developing that plan. You end up having to narrow it down. And one of the problems, for instance, on Woodland Shores is because it's tied to federal funding that anticipates the use of a multi-use path, you can't narrow it down beyond that certain dimension that makes it a multi-use path. So you're absolutely right. It becomes very important from design through use. So I will certainly make an effort to be clear on those uses. And thank you for informing our group. And when we talk about it at other meetings, like at Intergovernmental Council later tonight, I hope you all make it. We'll make sure to point that out as well, because we have miles and miles and miles of sidewalks and multi-use paths coming to James Island that the county is really proud to present tonight. So thank you. And we can also, if anybody has any other suggestions about how to get that information out, please feel free. Jim.
Yeah, Katie, I just wanted to ask is this coming up during design review board meetings typically, or with the city, or is this a general comment for all the jurisdictions?
It's general. I heard it recently at Town of James Island Board of Zoning Appeals, board member comments. I've heard it at City Planning Commission. It's just, I think people are trying to understand the terms but they don't really know what they are. So, you know, I've heard discussions about, well, isn't it already a multi-use path because there's a sidewalk and a bike lane? Can't we do a 5-foot multi-use path? There's just people trying to understand it and they don't. And I think that lack of knowledge, it wouldn't be a big deal, except that it's the incorrect definitions are then translating to less informed votes, I think, or decisions that are being made, where I think it could help all of those decision makers if they better understood the difference and who is served by what, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember specifically talking with Jason one time about using the little things that rumble, the rubble strips, not good for bicyclists. I was not aware of that.
It depends though. It can be just fine for, like on the James Island connector, for example, there's so much width there that a cyclist might never even come in contact with one. So it's contextual. It's a lot. If you're not nerdy, like some people whose names rhyme with Beatty Pimmerman, then you're not going to even care. But it's just when it becomes something that's informing a decision, a land use decision, then I think it's really important for people to have that information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we love having you here, Katie, Beatty, and Jason. Anybody else on that or the updates from various jurisdictions?
Yeah, I do have something to add from the county. Just wanted to give you guys an update that the Beefield Historic District received first reading approval last night at council. So that's set to move forward for second reading on May 10th and third and final reading on May 24th, assuming it moves forward as planned.
Excellent. Thank you, Emily. I had mentioned that a minute ago, and so I appreciate you being here because yes, that it's near that Grimble area. And so it is important for groups like this to understand contextually what's changing and how it's going to impact future development going forward. There was one potential buyer of a parcel in that area that was concerned about the impact it might have on the use of her land. And I think we worked through that. So I'm really excited that the Beefield community has been able to come together around this. Anything else, jurisdictions, updates? I did want to mention before we adjourn that tonight is the quarterly Intergovernmental Council meeting. There are lots of updates If you can't attend, it's streamed on YouTube live, and you can then access it later. We'll make sure to circulate that link. But there will be a very in-depth presentation by county staff on a lot of the infrastructure improvements, as well as our Greenbelt director, who will be presenting on a number of the Greenbelt projects that have been done over the last couple years. So if you can attend tonight, we'd love to see you. It's both in person and online. So thank you for hearing me out on that. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, thank you so much for letting me chair this. I look forward to our next meeting and working with our consultants to keep the ReThink Folly Road project alive. Thank you all so much.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you. Thanks, Councilmember.